the latest. I welcome you all to my channel. Thank you for your love and support. France warship arrived at the shores of Ivory Coast. We have been told already by our all in all, the savior, the protector, the unifier, the most loved, Captain Ibrahim Traore, has already informed us that Benin and Ivory Coast have allowed themselves to be used by the oppressor, to be used against the Sahel Alliance. And now the warship of France have also arrived in the shores of Ivory Coast. The warship of France have also arrived on the shore of Ivory Coast, carrying hundreds of troops, military equipment, and many more. When there is already tension between Ivory Coast and the Sahel region, why would we allow ourselves to be used against ourselves? Why is it that we are the ones that allow ourselves to be used by the oppressor to do the dirty games and the dirty beats of them? Is it a crime that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso rose up to fight and defend Africa? To take control over our natural resources? Why is it that all of a sudden the French warship is on the shore of Ivory Coast doing what? Why all of a sudden the warship of France? Already we know that a French professor and another man in the United States, a politician, also said even if it is war, they have to fight the new Africa with everything that they got, because they will not allow us to gain our independence, take control over our resources for them to suffer. So they are doing all that they can to make sure that this thing happens. A shame on Ivory Coast. AU meetings and you sweet talk as if you truly love Africa. Why is it a crime for an African to take control over our resources, the same resources that we have? Can you, any African leader, use any of the European nations against the others? Why have you allowed yourselves this way? Puppets who have given themselves out to be used as servants for the benefit of the oppressor. This is so shameful. And it's so unbelievable that in this 21st century, Africans are still not ready to gain the independence that we are crying for. No wonder our water bodies, our lands are destroyed, GMOs and everything coming in. Africa has become the refuge dump that everything of the world is dumped here, just because of the kind of leaders, the kind of people that are in front calling themselves leaders. This is heartbreaking. But no matter what, you wouldn't succeed.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into an unfolding geopolitical drama that's raising eyebrows across West Africa, the arrival of a French warship off the coast of Ivory Coast. But this isn't just any military exercise. Tensions are rising, especially with neighboring Burkina Faso, and many Africans are questioning what's really going on. To give you some context, there's already significant tension between Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast. But now, with the arrival of France's warship, carrying hundreds of troops, helicopters, and military vehicles, the stakes seem to have gotten much higher. Many are wondering, is this just about fighting piracy and drug trafficking, as France claims? Or is something more serious brewing under the surface? As we get into the details, let's explore how this situation is affecting the region, what's driving these tensions, and whether this could escalate into something bigger. Let's dive right in. To really understand what's happening now, we have to look at the shifting dynamics in Francophone Africa. In recent years, we've seen a wave of former French colonies actively pushing back against French military presence on their soil. From Mali to Niger, these countries have told France to pack up and leave. Anti-French sentiment is growing, driven by a desire to reclaim sovereignty and shed the remnants of colonial influence. One of the most important developments has been the formation of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, where Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have banded together to protect their interests. This new alliance has drastically changed the region's political landscape, putting these nations on a collision course with France's long-standing military influence. Now, given this backdrop, France's decision to send a warship to Ivory Coast seems suspicious to many. The official reason? France claims it's to fight illegal fishing, drug trafficking, and piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. But why would they need to send 300 troops, 60 vehicles, and helicopters for that? Why now? These questions are fueling even more skepticism, especially in Burkina Faso, where the government has made some serious accusations against France. One of the most surprising aspects of this situation is Ivory Coast's welcoming of the French warship, especially at a time when neighboring countries like Burkina Faso and Mali are kicking out French forces. So why is Ivory Coast going in the opposite direction? The government of Ivory Coast has been strengthening its military ties with France, and this latest move seems to solidify that relationship. According to Major Yemen from the Ivorian Navy, the permanent presence of French warships in the Gulf of Guinea allows for a collective response to regional threats. But here's where things get interesting. While Ivory Coast's leadership seems enthusiastic, other African nations are not so pleased. There's a growing sense of betrayal among many in the region. Why is Ivory Coast aligning itself so closely with France when other West African nations are distancing themselves? Does this put Ivory Coast at odds with the broader Pan-African movement, calling for greater independence from former colonial powers? These questions are fueling discussions across the continent, and I'd love to hear what you think.